Hey folks, how you doing out there? Darren Scorza here with another Drink and a Wink info review, but we got another special one here. Um, if you if you notice here, my glass is empty, and that means I have an empty glass and a piece of paper. That means that we're going to do another one of these Extemporaneousorama instant reviews. I kind of like this because it when I don't when I don't have any kind of idea or theme getting going, I like to do a couple of reviews. I think we're going to start doing some rye stuff soon. Again, get back to rye a little bit, and I didn't have anything else, so I wanted to, but I did want to do a video. I haven't had one off, and had one up in a little bit since Barton Bourbons video. I kind of had some bourbon, a few days ago or the last couple of days, and once again, love bourbon. Not my favorite, so I had Michele do another thing where she picked a whiskey from our shelf and wrote it down. I asked her to keep it to either single malt scotch, blended scotch, or Irish whiskey. That's kind of half of our shelf. The bottom two shelves here are scotch and Irish whiskey, both blended in single malt. And then I'll just go ahead and pour it and give you a little bit of info. And this also keeps me fresh to keep see if get the old mind going here. So here you go. I won't make the Karnak joke again. You know what it is. I'm going to read it. Glencadam 10-year. That's kind of fun. Although I think it's really far back. All right, I'm going to go get it. Hold on. It's coming. Boom. Glencadam 10-year. How's it going there? Glencadam, actually, this was on my mind today because I was watching a little video, and an older Glencadam came up a little on this YouTube video that I was watching, and I was like, oh, I need to have some Glencadam. I haven't had it in a while. If you haven't heard about it, there's good reason. It's not a really big name malt, okay? But it's another one of these that if you find it, and you like single malt scotch, especially Highland style, kind of Speyside Highland style, it's a really good one to grab because, interestingly enough, it's a very nice high quality, a very kind of good starter malt. If you are looking for the Highland style, and it's very affordable. Now I'm going to look it up. The one problem with this is Glencadam had not, or at least here in the Illinois area, I know where I can get some Glencadams, but oddly, Binny's is not always one of them. And I looked it up, and yeah, they do not. Well, that doesn't help. I put a D in there. Let me do that again. But even when I fix it, Glencadam, no, Binny's currently does not have it. So anyway, we'll talk about this. So Glencadam is a Highland single malt, as I said. The 10 is a unchill filtered, no color added, 46% ABV. Really nice. They have it on the. This is kind of an older style distillery. They have it rebranded. They like this kind of thing. It's kind of on the east area of Scotland, or kind of in the northeast. Let's see. The distillery was opened in 1825. I didn't pull that. The thing that's really interesting about this one is the price tag. I know that I bought this one for about $40, making it one of the more excellent sub 50 single malt scotches out there, especially considering the high ABV, considering the no chill filter, no colorant added. That is the color of single malt Scotch whiskey and aged 10 years. There's no red. This one is one of these. It's called the rather delicate Highland single malt. This is one of these single malts that is not peated at all. There's no smoke in here, but something that they're doing in combination with the process gives it a slightly, to me, a little bit of a sea side area, a little bit of a salty feel, not as much as an Old Pulteney, not as much as maybe even a Deanston. It's got a flavor all its own, and this is not knock your socks off whiskey in terms of flavor or anything, but it's just a nice, good Highland malt at the right price if you can find it. On the nose, there's a little bit. So I'm not getting much of a sense that this is aged in anything other than ex-bourbon, an ex-bourbon cask. If there is a sherry aged element to this, I'm not getting it. They don't really tell us anything about what is aged in here. Really nice stuff. I'll give you some tasting. This popped up as another one of these kind of like when it was kind of a little popular maybe about 2 years ago. It was just, we were kind of looking for, we meaning the whiskey industry in general. People are, just our neighbor is getting into whiskey and was just asking me about like what would be a good place to start. When I know what I like to recommend is things that are pretty easy to find. So yesterday I mentioned, well, a good place to start with Scotch whiskey is Glenmorangie Original 10 or now 12, and that's that. A good place to start is also, the Glenfiddich 12, the one that used to be shaped in that cool oblong bottle until they, or case or carton until they changed it. But if I know they're going to go to a store that maybe would have a little bit more, if I can get something in that same price range that I know I prefer, I'd love mentioning that. And this is one of those. Lower price single malt Scotch whiskey, high quality, nice flavor. On the nose, there is barley sugar, of course, ex-bourbon cask a little bit. But there's this little sweet note, a little bit of a wafery bit, or Nilla wafer. Again, when I'm mentioning that, it's not the sugar aspect of it. A lot of times when I say things that are of some kind of dessert, it's not the sugar aspect of it. It's what's combined with it. Nilla wafer, so a little bit of vanilla, but in a not an overpowering bean sense. Really, yes, more in like what it would be in a biscuit or something like that, or a cookie. So yeah, a little sugar, but not sweet. There's a little bit of an earthiness to it on the end of the nose. It's just really indicative of a good Highland malt. What does that mean? A little bit of a pear note, sweet pear note. A little bit of a banana note. You'll hear that quite a bit. Not so much like a real super ripe banana, but more of a kind of fresh banana, green, a little. It still needs a couple of days to age. In that sense that it just has that almost maybe the banana strings or the peel inside. Really nice. A hint of maybe coconut, shredded coconut. Given a little depth with a little bit of an oak flavor. This is not a new oak flavor. This is a refill ex-bourbon cask flavor. So that means that they're aging in bourbon cask, ex-bourbon cask, and then they're doing it again. At least that's what I'm getting. The finish is really where a little bit of honey in the finish. Kind of raw honey, not overly sweet honey. A little bit of kind of hazelnut or peanut shell. If you've heard me use these descriptors before, it's because this is very, like I said, indicative of a Highland malt. A little bit of a touch of a saltiness on the end. It's just a pleasure to drink. Again, nothing that would be, mind-blowing. But if you want a standard, good 10-year-old single malt Scotch whiskey, this is as good as anything out there. Glencadam 10. Now, because like I said, I probably would have bought another one. They have some other, older age statements and things like that. It's the bottom of the core range. If it was more available, it's not rare. I just don't know why it's not. I wonder who's the distributor for this. Sometimes that's kind of a giveaway. Imported by CLUS Wines and Spirits. That's a smaller company. Yeah, maybe that's just, I don't know what that means. But old-fashioned, nice single malt Scotch whiskey. And what's interesting about this is they know what they're doing here. This is 46%. It does not taste hot. It just, a good single malt Scotch whiskey at 46% will not taste hot, but that really emphasizes the flavor. Versus if you're buying something that is 40%, okay, that is going to be, it could be a very good quality, but we lose a little flavor that way. There are also 46% ABV single malt Scotch whiskeys that taste quite hot, and that just has to do with the fact that maybe it's not aged long enough or whatever. So a nice 10-year aging on this. There's a hint of a yeasty flavor there. I was out with my sister and cousin. Maybe she's watching, and I don't always have beer when I'm out, but sometimes when you go to a place and you look on the shelf, and I'm not knocking. I mean, not everyone has to have a great whiskey selection, but if they have something, and I'm not really too keen on the mixed drinks. We were at Angelo's Wine Bar the night before, and I got a nice kind of a interesting something sour that was delicious. But sometimes when I go out, I just see the typical kind of usual suspects on the whiskey shelf. Well, with a beer, there's a little hint of a yeasty beer kind of note here. Overall, this is a very nice, warming, old-school dram. In the 10-year-old ballpark, unpeated. Is this as tasty as maybe Deanston 12? It's probably what it's closest to. Is it as tasty as a Glenmorangie 12, their kind of standard one? No, I would go with that one. Is it? If you find it, is it $15 less than the ones I just mentioned? Yes, it will be. Really nice. This is I have my feelers up now for looking around and finding another Glencadam, maybe an older one. I think they do one that also is in sherry finish. Check out this distillery if you see it. It is an old packaging and kind of old labeling, old branding. I don't know if that. There are some companies that try rebranding, and then there's some that just keep what they have, and that's fine. I'm gonna actually look and see. They have rebottled. See, now I don't know if I like that. They have kind of packaged the 10 with something that looks a little bit more different. And there was one thing here that I did not mention. Yeah, they have rebranded. I'm not a big fan of their rebranding, but I am a big fan of their whiskey. Pineapple, yes, there's some pineapple in here. I mentioned some lemon zest and vanilla. Really nice. They have a 15-year-old. They have any numbers in their core range. I do remember this now. When they rebranded, I do not like the rebranding. So that's a little funky, but the Glencadam 18 has a great reputation. I could just keep on looking at their website. I think now I understand why we're not seeing it. Their 15 and their 10 have been rebranded, meaning they're just different packaging and who knows. I would say that they should have maybe gone back to the old one. Yeah, they have all kinds of things out there. I just got a little harder to find. Cool. I'm going to keep my... Ooh. Glencadam Reserva de Porto 20. Wow, that's nice. They have a Madeira finish. They're doing a lot of stuff. I'm going to keep my eye out for it. Maybe my next whiskey purchase will be a Glencadam. But for this one, Glencadam 10, you find it. went over with the packaging. You can't really do better at this price. And since it's not really on the Binny's site, let me kind of look around on pricing and see if anyone else has got it. Astor wines, they're gonna always have it a little. Oh, okay, they're gonna have it always a little higher at $50. I'm seeing it at a Best Buy for $36.89. Instacart's going to run you about 50. I'm seeing it here at a couple other places at 54. So that's the price tag. That's a little high, but yeah, it's just really nice. I'll just look here. Dram Face, one of my favorite web pages, or a kind of blog web page, kind of whiskey groups. They give us a very high score, 7 out of 10. That's big for them. Tasting notes, they're talking about citrus and apples, a little floral element that I wasn't getting, but I will agree that it turns a little grassy. This is just nice. Beautiful. Grab yourself a bottle of this if you're into Scotch whiskey. Bottom line, rating, I'm going to give it an. This would be a solid 8, but the fact that this is presentation I know is less than some of the other 10s in price, and yet it's unchill filtered, all natural, really nice old school stuff here. I'm going to bump it up to an 8.1. And that might sound a little bit of a low score. That's only because it's just very, very right down the middle. Good Scotch whiskey. Glencadam 10. Really great stuff. If you can't find it and you want something similar, I would say the taste profile on this one, for me, because I haven't drank everything out, Deanston, their 12-year-old, it's going to run you a little higher, is close to this. The Deanston version oak might be close to this in a way. But in other things in this kind of area, the Glenfiddich 12, which I mentioned earlier, we used to say that your best starter whiskeys in terms of just getting started with you want a Highland or a Speyside malt would be Glenmorangie 10, now 12. Or Glenfiddich 12. The Glenfiddich has more of a wafer and more of a clean flavor with a little bit of vanilla and not as much citrus. The Glenmorangie 12, the bourbon cask comes through a little bit more on that one, especially now that it's aged at 12. This kind of settles happily in the middle. Glencadam 10, I'm going to get off of this. Highland single malt Scotch whiskey. Now you're going to see the writing like this, and it really doesn't look it's nondescript now. I kind of like the old stuff. I wish some of these companies would stick around and keep that. Cool. Glencadam 10. Glencadam. Go get them. I don't even have a joke here. Anyway, thanks to Michele for picking this one. She always picks a good one I can hear her clinking around out here. That means she's going to pick one from the back of the shelf. Next time, maybe we'll actually do it where she actually pours it, and we'll see if I can guess what it is. Glencadam 10. Grab yourself a bottle. It set you back, and you will not be disappointed. Okay. Glencadam 12. 1 Adam 12.